Day 21, Dr. Phibes rises again. And this is a very weird sequel because I just reviewed the first one yesterday and I watched them both at the same time the night before. But today I'm reviewing the second one, which is a very weird because it is a sequel, but the first movie ends like it wouldn't have a sequel because, like I explained in the review for the first one, the ending is that Dr. Phibes literally dies with his wife with embalming fluid going through his veins, but then he awakens 3 years later, 4 years, yeah, 3 years later. 3 years later, still wants to get Victoria, his wife, to come back to life. So he goes back to Egypt, and he tries to get these scrolls that will help him bring her back, and the gift to eternal life. So this is an interesting sequel, and I did like that premise starting out. Um, but I liked the first one a lot, and this one I liked, but it's definitely one where it's a sequel, and I'm kind of gonna forget more about it the more I think about it because the first one I thought was really clever and fun. This one has less of like the killings and stuff where it's still goofy and it's still fun, but I felt like there was less of it. I honestly felt like this one was a little bit more boring, like, but it was still fine. Like I still liked it, but I didn't love it. Like the first one I liked a whole lot. This one I thought was a tiny step down, but it still was good. Um there were some okay kills in it. There was actually one where I was like, "Oh yeah, that's really good," because that creeps me out. Where there's a guy sitting in a chair, and then the chair bars have nails in them, so they connect to his arms, and then Phibes throws the key in this dog statue. The dog statue breaks, and then it's all these poisonous scorpions. So all these scorpions are crawling up this guy and poisoning him, and that's really cool. That's disgusting, and that creeped me out. Like I like how both of these movies have really creepy ways of people getting killed, and they stick with you because I'm like, wow, I wouldn't want to go that way, like kind of thing. Like that's really cool. Um, I also got to point out that the assistant in this movie and in the last movie, Volvania, her name is said like every like couple minutes. It feels like you hear it a lot. If you don't remember Volvania's name by the end of this movie, or Victoria is mentioned a lot. His dead wife. It's just so funny how many times it reminded me of Poltergeist 3, where they said like Carol Ann like 100 times. It was very similar to that, where you just kept hearing the same name over and over again. But really, with that, with all I've already said about this one, that's pretty much all I can say. Like, I feel like it is a sequel, but it's a sequel that's fine, but it's not one that I liked as much as the first one. I think that it is a little less interesting, because it was doing less killings. It was more about him trying to go and in Egypt, and all this stuff starts happening. But it's not about like him going taking revenge on everybody. It just happens at the same time. It's not like the first one where it's like all these consecutive like deaths, and that made him interesting. This one is not as much that. It still has those in it, but it's not as fun. Like it's still got some fun moments, but it's not as entertaining. But I still liked it. I still thought it was solid enough. But really, there's not much else I could say about Dr. Phibes Rises Again. But I'm glad I saw it, though, regardless. I'm glad I saw both of them. So that's it for today. Stay tuned. We got more 31 Days of Horror coming up. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.